Hey guys, we are doing a tag video today. I'm so excited. I saw Samantha March do this video. She did it in collaboration with Allie Glein. So then I went over and watched Allie Glein's video for this eyeshadow palette tag part 2. And so much fun, so much fun. There's 11 questions or topics that I'm gonna be answering and showing you my, my palette, my related palettes. So let's go ahead and start with the first one, which is my all-time favorite palette. If you guys have seen any of my absolute all-time favorite makeup videos, this is always mentioned. This is the Natasha Denona 28 pan eyeshadow palette in green brown. I love this palette. I love the formula. I love all of the colors that are available. I love all of the different finishes. We have some soft mattes, some satins, some shimmers in here, and I just love, love, love this entire color story. And I remember when I was first kind of getting back into makeup, these were really, really popular, and every time I looked at them, I got completely intimidated. I thought, what am I gonna do with 28 shades? But when I started playing with makeup more and more, this became less intimidating, and I purchased it. I remember I purchased it, I think, on sale at Selfridges. And once I got it, I thought, this is laid out so beautifully. We have neutrals in these two columns here and these two columns here. And then the three columns in the middle are of the greens. So we've got browns and then we've got the greens. And so here we have like the lighter, more neutral ones. These are the ones that are a little bit more warm, a little bit more, I don't know, funky, I guess you could say. Like this one is a multi-chrome. There's all these different like shimmers in there, really, really pretty. And then we have like the deeper, warmer browns here, the mattes here. I usually stick to this side. This works for my skin tone really well. If I do need to deepen things up, I will obviously go in here. And then if I want something fun, I personally love green eyeshadow. I just love the color green. And so this is just perfect for me. You have those really kind of like antiqued gold kind of greens, emerald greens, and then we have ones with a lot of blue in them. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I love, love, love this palette. This is one of those palettes that I will never, ever get rid of. And if I feel like I have to for whatever reason, I will make sure that I get another one in my hands before I get rid of it. So that is the Natasha Denona 28 green brown palette. Now, my new favorite palette is kind of like the exact opposite of this all-time favorite of mine, this green brown palette. It is a quad, and it's the newest one from Chanel. This is the Mediterranean palette, and there's 4 just very subtle, like, shades of taupe, basically. I just love this quad. I am generally more of like a quad, quint, duo type of eyeshadow person. These palettes, as much as I love this one, and like I said, all-time favorite, I just don't reach for them that often. They don't usually call to me. I really like, especially for everyday looks, just ones that are real simple, ones that contain shadows that are one and done shadows, ones that contain shadows that are just duos, a light shade, a deeper shade just to kind of give me some dimension, and that's it. And this is perfect. There are no mattes in there. I really like satiny, shimmery shades. All the shades that are basically kind of in the middle between matte and like a pressed glitter. Like I love everything like in between those two finishes. So this is just beautiful, beautiful. And these all have like a baked gelée formula. So they just have such a gorgeous sheen. Let me do some swatches for you quickly. So here are the 4 shades, and I feel like there is like a really pretty range of shades in there. Despite looking at it actually in the pan, I feel like it looks like all the shades look very, very close, but I think there's actually like a pretty nice range, especially between this one and this one. And this one shade is the one shade that has like a little bit of micro glitter in there. So I just find these to be so beautiful, and the formula is fantastic. So, so smooth with like the perfect level of pigmentation. You can build them up, you can really sheer them out. Just gorgeous. So that is the Chanel Mediterranean. I always call it the Mediterranean, but I'm completely like Americanizing that. Mediterranean quad, number 747. Okay, next is the palette that I have kept from memories, and It's this guy. It is the NARS Loaded palette. This palette is has long been discontinued, and it is one of my all-time favorite palettes. I don't know why. I'm still upset. I think I've talked about this in a few videos of recent past. I think I did one of like discontinued products I'd love to see return or something like that. I can't even remember. But this is such a beautiful neutral palette. You have shades that lean a little bit warm. You have shades that lean a little bit cool like this one, and then a whole bunch that kind of fall right in the middle. Gorgeous. We've got plenty of finishes in there, mattes, shimmers, just beautiful. And the packaging is beautiful. The whole thing, the size is great. And I hold on to this, even though I don't really use it that often anymore. I definitely don't use it on camera since you guys can't get it. It doesn't make sense for me to use it. But I definitely hold on to it for memories. Every time I go through and do like an eyeshadow declutter, I just look at it and just hope one day NARS will resurrect this. But for now, it is still discontinued, and I'm only holding on to it for its memories. The one eyeshadow that I did declutter, eyeshadow palette that I did declutter that would have been mentioned had I held on to it, is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Mario collab. That I held on to for so long, purely for memories. That was another gorgeous, gorgeous palette, but I just recently decluttered that. So the NARS Loaded palette, definitely the one that I've been holding on to for memory's sake. Okay, next let's talk about most underrated. And I feel like I have a hard time kind of distinguishing between underrated and just not talked about very much. But I am going to talk about the Viseart shadows. I don't feel like they are talked about enough on YouTube. I don't feel like they are hyped up enough on YouTube. I feel like their neutral matte 12 pan shadow, that one is loved, beloved, you know, loved by many. And Viseart is a brand that started out and continues to cater towards makeup artists. So I feel like their shadows sometimes are misunderstood. Like their shimmer shades, for instance, they're not really super duper high foil shine shimmers, which a lot of people really enjoy, the everyday consumer really appreciates. But when it comes to using makeup for photography or for TV, you just can't have something that shimmery that's just gonna catch the light and like grab all the attention in the shot. Like that's not really its purpose. So a really subtle shimmer is what Viseart is so good at. And I happen to really like subtle eye looks. So I've always been a huge fan of Viseart. Their matte shadows are like just gorgeous and so easy to use. I feel like they blend into one another perfectly. I am not even a matte eyeshadow lover, but I love using Viseart matte shadows because they're so easy to use. And despite them being like matte, there's not like a soft matte to them at all, not at all. They are a matte shadow. They don't look dry on my lids. There's something so fine and silky about their powders. I just enjoy their eyeshadows so much. This Kashmiri palette is the most recent love of mine from Viseart. The color story, the shades, like everything. I feel like the mattes are gorgeous. The shimmers, I think, are really beautiful. Here's that really light one down there, this guy. We have like beautiful taupes, which you know I love so much. So here's a cooler one. Here's one that's a little bit more coppery. And then let me swatch a matte. Their mattes are just so smooth. So smooth. They don't even swatch that well compared to how they apply on the eyelid. And this swatch looks pretty darn smooth to me. They're just incredible, absolutely incredible. And this particular palette, I just think is so stunning. And I love this size palette that they've come out with. Like all of these little shadows pop out so you can mix and match. You can put these into like your own little palette if you want. I just think it's fantastic. And this does have like a little mirror in there if you just want to travel with this guy. It's just great. Absolutely wonderful. I just love this palette so much. And I don't really see a ton of people talking about this palette, and they should be. They absolutely should be. All right, next we're going to talk about palettes that I don't really like, but for some reason I just can't get rid of. I've got two here, and it's for the exact same reason. They're from the same brand. It's these two Pat McGrath palettes. Now, this is the Subversive 6-pan palette that came out with the first batch of 3 6-pan palettes that she came out with. I love the first two. There was like a bronze one that I absolutely love, and then there was like the Sublime one that I love. So the Subliminal, the Sublime, and then this is the Subversive. I just did not like this palette at all. I don't feel like it behaved as well as the other ones. Like this shadow is super dry. I don't feel like it blended out really nicely. And then a lot of these other shades were just mediocre. I feel like there was I haven't used this in a long time. I feel like there's one or two in here that are really like high shine. This gold shade in here works really well. But this shade in particular, I remember being really, really dry. And this Rose Risque shade here was okay. And I feel like when you look at this palette, like your eye is drawn right here and you want this shade to be really, really powerful. And it just wasn't. I just felt really let down by this palette. And the same for this palette, which is called Rose Decadence. Oops. I just felt like these shadows underperformed as well. They just, I don't know, they were okay. I felt like the mattes were really kind of dry and not that easy to work with. But the point of this is why I can't get rid of them. Basically, I feel like I've turned into a Pat McGrath collector, and I don't want to break up any set that I've gotten, and I have like all the 6 pans, and if I were to get rid of these two, like, I don't know, my head would explode. Like, I don't know why I can't get rid of them, but I just can't because I have them all and I want to just keep them all. And it's completely ridiculous, but that is why I can't get rid of these, even though I don't really like them that much. Okay, my favorite collab. This goes way back, and I purchased this eyeshadow palette when I had only a blog, and I didn't do YouTube until after this came out. So anyway, this is the Estee Lauder Victoria Beckham collab. This is when they first collabed. And I remember just being so blown away by the entire collection. I got it all. I ran to Bergdorf. I purchased it all. I love the kind of like old school cigarette case inspired packaging. And then I love, granted, I did not use the blue that much, but I love like these two shades I used constantly. And then I would use this black as liner. Occasionally I would throw in these two shades if I wanted something deeper. I loved this palette so much. I still have it. And this came out, I believe, in fall 2016. And I had a YouTube channel, but I was talking about knitting at that point. I didn't actually upload my first beauty video until February of 2017 after moving from New York to Las Vegas. So yeah, I blogged about this, I remember, but I never did a video on this, I don't believe. Not until they came out with their second collaboration. Anyway, yes, I just love this collaboration. I love this eyeshadow palette. I love everything about it. I was so happy when Victoria Beckham decided to do her own beauty line. And yeah, it's just such fond memories. And I just love this collab. It made sense. And I feel like it brought Estee Lauder back to life, at least for a little while. And yeah, it was just, I have such fond memories about this collection. Anyway, so that is my, like, one of my all-time favorite collabs, Estee Lauder, Victoria Beckham. Stunning. So my 2021 favorite, I mentioned this when I talked about my best of 2021, were the Dior Quints. And I do have one that was limited edition that I'm going to talk about, and one that's part of their regular line. The limited edition one is this one. This is 739 House of Dreams. This came out with their holiday collection. And I love this quint. I love the color story. I love the quality of these shadows. They're just, they're so smooth and beautiful on the lid. Those are two of the shades. Let me do this silver one because that is va va boom. Look at that silver. But these are the two shades that I probably use the most. It's these two, this one and this one. Just beautiful. And this quint definitely has like a nice range of shades where, you know, you can use one for one and done shadow. You can use a few of them for like an ombre look. You can use two if you just want to put one all over the shade, all over your lid, and a deeper one to kind of add a little bit of dimension. Oh, just wonderful. And then the one that I wanted to mention that's part of their regular line, you guys have heard me talk about incessantly, but this is Soft Cashmere. Oh man, this shade in the upper left-hand corner, I love it. I love it. Let me swatch that one. But this is such a beautiful one and done shade. Isn't that incredible? It is just such a silky looking taupe. Oh, I think it's so, so beautiful. So that is Soft Cashmere, and then this is House of Dreams. I don't know if this is still available, but you gotta grab Soft Cashmere. It is so, just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So those were my 2021 favorites. Next is, sorry, I have my list here. Oh, Didn't Expect to Love. Okay. So the palette I did not expect to love is this Giorgio Armani Eyes to Kill Eccentrico palette. Now, I purchased this because it's beautiful. I loved this palette in that it, is this flower design, and you ended up with like eye shades and cheek shades. So this is like an eye and cheek palette. And, when I purchased it, basically, it really was just because I thought it looked beautiful. But when I looked at the shades, I thought, oh my gosh, they're all so close. I really didn't think I'd be able to create like a beautiful, full like eye look. And I thought that they would be maybe a little bit too frosty or pastel-y for me for like a one and done shadow. I thought maybe that would just look a little too, I don't know, like I like more neutrals for that versus like lavenders and peaches and stuff. But this palette, like I ended up loving, obviously I love the packaging, I love this whole floral design, but I ended up loving like the shadows the most. The formula, the actual shadows, the shades, I thought I got like a really beautiful look out of it. And I could even build a little dimension with these purples. So let me do a few swatches here. Like the shadows are just so much more vibrant than I think they look in here, right? This kind of looks like, I don't know, like a washed out kind of pastel color story, but when you play with the shades like individually, they're really beautiful. So those are the two purples over here, and then that's the big peach shade. Isn't that peach so much deeper and more dramatic than it looks in here? I don't know, I felt like it did. So yeah, when I went into this palette, I thought, well, whatever, I just think it's really beautiful. That's why I got it. But after using it, I was like, wow, like the formula is beautiful. The shades are really, really gorgeous. So this one really, really surprised me. Just really, I always got like really beautiful, pretty feminine looks from this palette. And I was really surprised. So next is the palette that sparks joy. Now this is kind of a cheat because this is a palette that I've kind of created myself. This isn't one that I like bought, pre-made, pre-laid out. And this is all of my Surratt eyeshadows. Every time I open up this palette, which has Surratt blushes on one side, but all of the eyeshadows that I have of his on the other side, the amount of joy that I have when I see this, when I open this up it's inexpressible. I just love looking at this so much. I love using all of these natural taupes, as you can imagine. I love all of like the top 4 rows. I can use any shadow in combination with one another. The whole bottom row here, these are newer ones, but these are, I put all the brighter ones down here. I obviously don't use those as much as the more neutral tones up top, but the quality of these shadows are gorgeous. But really, when I just look at this palette and with the blushes up top here, oh, it makes me so happy. I used to do a lot of art. I used to paint a lot. Drawing was actually my favorite. And it just reminds me of art supplies when I open up this palette. It just makes me so, so happy. So this is the palette that sparks the most joy. And then next is the newest palette in my collection, and that is the Pat McGrath Bridgerton. This is definitely the one, that came most recently. I probably ordered this before, but this is the one that actually arrived most recently, and this is what it looks like. It's that 6-pan. You guys have probably seen this now. This sold out. It was restocked. I don't know if it's sold out again. Anyway, I'll link it down below if it's still available. But I was really pleasantly surprised how much I like this. Like I mentioned, I'm just a Pat McGrath collector at this point. I do love her eyeshadows. I love her makeup so much. But I just kind of purchased it without any expectations. I just wanted it. I just had to have it. And I was so pleasantly surprised that these 3 shades are all baked, and then these 3 shades are pressed shadows. So these shades, the 2 pink shades, are so pigmented and creamy and smooth and easy to blend out, easy to work with. I was like, wow, like really, really impressed. And then these two shades are shades I can use all day, every day. This, of course, is the exciting, the exciting shade. And then we have like this great, like red toned chocolate brown in matte that you can use as like liner. So this is my most recent palette, and I have to say, I really love it. This is a good one. This is a good one. So that is the Pat McGrath Bridgerton eyeshadow palette. Okay, and next is the first palette that I used in 2022. Now, I'm not 100% sure that this is the first palette I picked up in 2022, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette. This is the light one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have picked this up over the dark one, but I have been loving the eyeshadows in here, and I grab this often just to kind of grab these mattes in there, and I use this shade right here, which she calls Transition, as a transition shade very often, because so many times I have palettes with just shimmer shades in there, and sometimes I just want a matte transition, and so I'll reach for this shade. And yeah, I love this palette. Absolutely love it. This was like, I think in my December favorites, but I'm pretty sure this is probably the palette that I grabbed for first in 2022. So that is it for this video. This was so much fun. A big thank you to Samantha March and Allie Glines for coming up with this tag video. I tag you out there if you're a YouTube creator, even if you're not a YouTube creator, if you want to leave your answers to the questions down below in the comment section, that would be awesome. I would love to read your answers. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.